Mamdani is a manifestation of God's tremendous love for his children, that he's willing to take all these steps to bring us home. And Ari and I have sometimes a slight disagreement about how to approach American Jews.
Used to be slight, now it's more significant. I used to wonder, Jews of pre-Holocaust Germany, did they not see the writing on the wall? Why didn't they leave? And I now have my answer. American Jews today. And I know that that's something nobody wants to hear, and they're upset hearing it, and they get mad at me. But what else am I supposed to do?
Shalom, everybody. Driving in Samaria with the one and only Ari Abramowitz, co-founder of the Land of Israel Network, co-founder of the Arugot Farm, one of the most beautiful places in all of Judea. Ari, shalom.
Shalom. I'm going to look forward, because every time I see someone being interviewed while they drive and they're looking at the camera and looking at the guy, I'm always thinking, look at the road every time. I can't focus because I want the people to look at the road. So I don't want people to be distracted by the fact that I'm looking at you, because we are driving in the probably a relatively dangerous road in Samaria. Not because of the Philistines, but because of the insane traffic or driving style in the Middle East, which, Yishai, you have been advocating civility and manners on the roads.
You're absolutely right. First thing, we all want to thank you for driving with your eyes on the road. This is not like a Tesla and not a Tesla-like situation. So thank you very much for taking care of that. And I have been advocating civility. In general, by the way, I just want you to know, I've been talking a lot about this. I get a lot of pushback from my beloved Israeli brothers and sisters. I've been talking that forget achdut, forget unity. Let's get back to civility, just a little bit ne'imut, sweetness, kindness. Yesterday I was in the Knesset and I was speaking to an ultra-Orthodox guy. I said to him, you know, this whole rift with the ultra-Orthodox, do you know how we could solve it right now? Here's the decision to make. Just talk nice. Just say, we love the soldiers. We pray for you guys. You guys are so important. Just don't be haughty with people, and you'll see how much you're going to get done just with that. Just to make a decision that you're going to talk with Jews and treat them as they're smart.
Can I push back a little bit? Because I don't disagree with you, but I disagree with you a little bit.
Go ahead.
I've always found a certain chen, a certain special element to the incivility in Israel. The aggression on the roads, the cutting in lines, because I see that when I'm in the West, there's a lot of civility. But the minute things would start pulling apart at the seams and things start falling apart, they would be ripping each other limb from limb. Whereas in Israel, there's cutting in line and there's rudeness, but where is there more dysfunction than at a family reunion? Especially when the family has been apart for 2,000 years and we're coming together, there's going to be a lot of stuff to work out. So I've always celebrated to a certain degree the dysfunction in Israel, because it's a sign to me that we're coming back together. So as long as the civility is coming from a deeper place, that's a good thing. Or maybe what you're saying, Yishai, is let's start with the civility and then it'll work its way down to a deeper place, right? Is that what you're saying, Yishai?
I think civility is good. I think civility is just good. I think you should treat, the person who's trying to... First thing, you'll have a lot less driving accidents. And our culture, for example, in the Knesset, it's not always constructive. It's sometimes like it's destructive. It's like we're fighting for one another. Sometimes I'm in the council meetings and I just say, why exactly are we fighting? It's not clear to me, because I think we're not even saying something so different. Can we just tone it down a little bit and
we're just used to a combative adversarial posture.
Exactly it. And I just think that is not healthy. And with a lot of our societal issues, a little bit of civility will go a long way. Well, actually, this brings me...
One more thing.
Sure,
one more thing.
Go.
Hakarat hatov.
Right.
Hakarat hatov, I think, is a very important thing.
Translate.
Recognizing goodness, gratitude. I think that would go a far way. I don't even think really the issue with the Haredi, the ultra-Orthodox enlistment conflict that is a deep and rift within the country causing a lot of resentment. It's not even that they're not serving in the army. If they didn't serve in the army, but they were saying, our brothers that are serving, you're putting your lives on the line, thank you. We're so grateful to you for that. And we feel like we owe you, and our learning, we're doing it for you. That would do more healing. Just that posture and that message from them, as opposed to, we don't need you and you're trying to, and the hate. That's where the real problem is. It's coming much more from the heart than their actions. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just a little bit of sweet words, some verbiage that makes you be like, I really respect you, appreciate you. Just talking like that. It's always like, smash, no, Torah is holding up the land, no, defense is holding up the land. It's like, just be like, listen, I really appreciate you. I have an issue that comes from this and this. And it's important to me. Just talk calmer, and you'll see a lot of things will start to solve themselves.
When I speak to ultra-Orthodox
Jews, listen. Right when you're at the doctor's, they say to you, "Do you have any allergies?" When they're about to prescribe some medicine to you, right? Because or a nice lady that's hosting you for Shabbat be like, "Do you have any food allergies or food issues?" Okay. Jews have an allergy. They don't like to be haughtied to. They are allergic to hubris, to haughtiness, to a posture that you're better than them. Jews can't stand that. So why do that? Why not be a little bit less into that mode and talk to people as though they're good and smart? Okay, and then you're going to see a lot more success.
What I do, because I live on this farm on the southeastern tip of settlement in Judea, and what's interesting is that the nearest settlement is called Ma'ale Amos, the heights of Amos, because that's where Amos the Navi, Amos the prophet had his Nevuah. But the Biala Rebbe, a Hasidic sect of Torah Judaism, Biala, he told his Hasidim to move there. So the whole nearby settlement is one degree or another ultra-Orthodox Jews, and they come to our farm a lot, and they ask me to speak to them to tell them the story. And one of the lines I always say, which is true from my heart, I say, there's nothing I love more. Well, yes, I love Eretz Yisrael, but I love Jews, every Jew, and I love all of you, and I'm so grateful for the learning that you're doing, holding us up spiritually. And I'm in the army right now. I would say this while I'm in the army with my gun, and I'm here, and if I would sacrifice my life for any one of you and feel grateful for the opportunity to do it. So great is my love for you that I would be happy to do that. And I feel like when they hear that, it creates a sense of, it's hard not to love someone that loves you.
That's right.
So that's how I try to do the Rift. I try to constantly work on loving my fellow Jew, because we're not co-religionists. We're family. And when you're family, there's no conditions on love. It's just what is. So that's my approach. I try to just, in my mind and in my heart, authentically say, I would die for any Jew, from the far left, Shalom Achshav, to the far right, almost Natura Carta. And that's just how I approach healing this rift in my own heart.
Well, Ari Abramowitz is anything if not authentic. And so when you said you're authentically loving every Jew, I totally believe you. And it's not easy. I think it's actually a very big mitzvah. Speaking of loving, behind us we got our two beloved friends, Elazar Menachem Fleischer and Greg Upham, big part of the Land of Israel Network, and Elazar Menachem, big part of the Fleischer Network. Keep up the good work back there.
One of my Rebbes.
That's right, one of my Rebbes. Okay. We talked about loving every Jew, and I wanted to open up a topic which you and I discuss a lot behind camera, but not on camera, and that is the topic of American Jews and Aliyah. And just to kind of open up the topic, because we're constantly being sent signals that America is changing, and that it's just not the friendly country that it was. Every time that I tell Ari Abramowitz that I'm going on a trip, he sighs, and his some kind of PTSD OCD thing pops up, and it's hard for him to stand the fact that I'm out there traveling, really because of a kind of fear, a visceral fear of what's going on over there. And Ari and I have sometimes a slight disagreement about how to approach American Jews.
I think it's more than slight at this point.
You think it's more than slight, eh?
Now, at this point in history, it used to be slight, now it's more significant. Because, number one, the reason I'm afraid of you going is because I hold no secret about it. Out of all the people I know, I'm just speaking the truth, you are the singular greatest spokesman for the Jewish people alive today. That's really what I believe. And all of my friends are watching this, who all are in this, and I just tell the truth. And so the thought of you going over there, because something will happen and the skies are going to shut. The gates are going to, we've seen it again and again and again. We saw it with Corona, and so I'm just afraid that you're going to be stuck over there.
Wait. Now, just to tell the truth, there was a time during the 12-day war, the day before, you called me and you said, Yishai, and we were both in America. I was in Brooklyn. Where were you? You
Texas.
were Texas, and you're like, do you think we could get stuck out here? And I was just like, no, Ari, you're exaggerating. And the next day, boom, the gate closed, and you and I were both stuck in America. You ended up taking a boat from Cyprus and surrounded by sharks and who knows what. And I ended up flying through Amman, Jordan. I went through 2 Arab capitals in order to get home. Okay, it was Detroit, Michigan, and Amman. I had to fly to Detroit in order to fly to Amman, and that was quite a harrowing story. So when you say the gates close, I would have loved to be like, Ari is just exaggerating as usual, but it happened that you were stuck, and you were right about that.
So I want to say why I think the rift between us is now larger than ever. Because you go to America and you inspire people proactively about Israel. You used to, I think, be more aggressively about Aliyah, but you realize that it's not as effective, or in your experience, it hasn't been as effective, and it's a more positive. And so I heard that argument for a long time, even though I didn't personally ascribe to it, I heard it. But now that I see the radical shifting of the winds of history, the way Hashem is actually going and changing the hearts and the minds of Americans from the right and the left, the hatred is converging. Now it's not like I want people to come back because I'm excited about the ingathering of the exiles. Now it's an issue of actual pikuach nefesh. I used to wonder, Jews of pre-Holocaust Germany, did they not see the writing on the wall? Why didn't they leave? And I now have my answer. American Jews today. And I know that that's something nobody wants to hear, and they're upset hearing it, and they get mad at me. But what else am I supposed to do when you see how pressing this is, how imminent it is? So now I feel like we must be more vocal in whatever way you do it, but it's not like things have always been. When you see the far right converging with the far left, and having Tucker Carlson is interviewing Cenk Uygur, and Megyn Kelly is with Anna Kasparian, and they're loving each other over one thing: Israel. And you could argue, by the way, that we're supposed to be bringing the world together. Well, we're doing it. We're bringing the world together in some way. But anyways, this is what my argument to you is, that we should at the very least, be advocating right now. And that is that, okay, maybe pitching Aliyah is too big a commitment for people to wrap their minds around, and it's too scary, and they have all of their money and their life and their family wrapped up in America. But tell me what you think about this, Yishai. People could theoretically, if you own a house in America, sell it now. It's never going to be worth more than it is right now. It will not. Sell it now, buy a house in Israel, and then rent in America. Why? Because real estate in Israel is going to continue going up. There's no question about it. And then when you see things get so bad that there's no denying it, you'll be able to be soberly dispassionate about seeing the reality, and you can leave, rather than be so wrapped up that you stick your head in the sand and not look at it. So for me, where it was beneath the dignity of Eretz Yisrael to be telling people, run away from America, come back to Israel, whereas life here is so filled with simcha and mission and passion and purpose, now it's an issue of actually saving lives, and we need to blow the shofar and sound the alarm and say, at least keep your eyes open. Maybe I'm wrong. What do I know? I've been wrong before. Maybe I'm wrong. But you keep your own eyes open. And when you see it happening, when you see Lavan turning against Yaakov and saying, all your money is from me, or a new Pharaoh is rising and saying, dual loyalty. You start hearing dual loyalty. You've taken all of our money, and this again and again and again from everywhere. There's a good chance that it's time to come home.
Okay, so a few comments on that. Number one is that the idea that you espoused about selling your house, renting it, buying here in the meantime, I think that's a fantastic idea. And I wouldn't have any problem saying that to people. I'm always telling people, take economic steps to ensure that your wealth isn't lost and that you are investing in Israel and are part of it. So I like, that's a perfectly reasonable step to suggest to people. And I want to tell you that I also have changed my tune, and And I remember that I've always said that when anti-Semitism comes, I'll say, okay, here's anti-Semitism. And I'll give you just one example of that. Recently, a kind of famous Torontonian, Larry Zeifman, he wrote a Facebook post saying, Canada isn't safe anymore. Toronto isn't safe anymore. We got to get out of here. And I was like, whoa. I called him. I'm like, are you willing to come on the show? And he's like, came on the show. And immediately we discussed that, because if Larry Zeifman is saying that Canada is not safe, then it really means something. And by the way, you know when you're not safe? When the sovereign is no longer defending the Jews. And that's what's happening in Canada. That's what's happening in England and in France and maybe in Australia to some extent. And in the United States, it's still not there. But it's going to start edging away from Jewish safety, because what's right now on the social media is entering slowly into the hearts of people, and they're going to start to believe in this stuff. They're going to start to believe that the Jews are bad, and Jews are at fault for this and that, and Jews are genociders. And really all it is the excellent blood libels of the past now being tweaked and made even stronger today. So that's for sure true. Moreover, I think that when a jihadist mayor takes over New York City, there's no greater, just like there's no greater sign that we're in a time of redemption when we see the land of Israel flourishing, there's no greater sign that the great city of Babylon that we helped build in New York City, there's no greater sign that that's over than when a jihadist mayor is, in a full-blown, full-throttled, no-holds-barred jihadist mayor is at the head of New York City. That's going to say a lot.
And it also says something that a majority of Jews in New York still support him. Now, why would they do that?
Well, that's what happens when Jews, when they split off from God, and then in this case also from Israel.
No, but there's also thousands of years of trauma that is built into the consciousness that they somehow still delusionally believe that if they spearhead this liberalism, then they will be the beneficiaries of the same liberalism in return.
That's right.
And so they think that this little bleep in history, they're so associated and identified with being a card-carrying liberal leftist Democrat that's actually become on some level their religion, and they believe that they're really that. But it's not just them. I speak to a lot of MAGA Republican Jews in America, and they just as much identify as a right-wing conservative Republican as on the left-wing liberal Democrats. And right now, those idols, those illusions are being shattered. We're not right-wing Republican conservatives. We're not left-wing liberal Democrat. We're Jews. We're Jews, and that's it, and that's what it's always been, and that's what it will always be. And if we keep fighting against that, we're going to have those illusions shattered again and again and again more painfully. Which is why one of the things that I try to do is to deconstruct fears, address contentions, because there are legitimate contentions against moving to Israel. There are. We have to be honest about it. Economically, it's a very challenging thing. You, by the way, Yishai, have done a tremendous amount in actually not only addressing and vocalizing the contentions, but dealing with them and solving them to lay the groundwork for an ingathering, which is one of the things you've always done. And I credit largely, probably more than anyone else I know, you into my whole journey and where I've done and everything that I've done, because you helped me understand it was possible. That it was a possible thing. And so one of the things I used to say is, make Aliyah. Okay, maybe not. Come for a sabbatical. Come for 1 year. And at the end of that year, just say to yourself, I'm going to come for 1 year. And at the end of that year, if I want to go back, I'll go back. But you're not going to be able to. Because when you taste the beauty and the mission and the purpose, that's one thing. The second thing is, what about finances? How am I going to do it? Just understand, and I would encourage you to come out to the settlement that's right next to my farm. And these families have been living for 10, 12, 14 years in beat up, leaky caravans on a mountaintop in Judea. And you're like, well, I'm not going to do that. I've been to Kentucky. I see trailer parks. No. Only recently have they gotten the Ishurim to build homes. And now there are beautiful mansions. Like, right. Have you seen eBay on Nachal, Yishai?
Sure.
I've never seen homes so beautiful, and it's the same families. The same families that were living in caravans for 10 years, and you could say, how? How did they do that? And the answer is, they weren't living in caravans because they didn't have money for a house. They believed in it. They wanted it. And when you see the children they raise, and you walk into their house and you see the simcha, the joy in at their Shabbat table, I say that with my wife all the time when we're worried about money and finances, which happens to us regularly. We say, worst comes to worst, we move to a caravan and we're just as happy there. It's not a worst comes to worst. You have to understand that it's not, things are different here in Eretz Yisrael, and you don't need the money that you need in America. It's not about keeping up with the Joneses. Thank you, Greg. It's not, it's not a thing here. So just come to the land for 1 year, come scout it out, see the beauty of it, go to communities where people are living in caravans and be like, this caravan is a beautiful thing. For what? For 1,000 shekels? I can, a month? 12,000 shekels a year, I could live in this beautiful caravan in the hills of Judea, accomplish them, and have greater simcha. Anyways, I'm going to stop. I talk too much.
The new caravans in Efrat are about 4,000 shekels a month, which is closer to like $1,300 a month. But okay.
But no, but that's, I want to correct that because that's an outlier. It's an outlier because of where those caravans are located. Yeah. Imagine in Beverly Hills. Right. In the middle of Beverly Hills, they're like, oh, we're going to put a few caravans here. Those are going to be higher rent. Yeah. It's like by the decal and whatever. I'm just letting you know, in Ibei Anachal, the caravans, I think, are 1,200 shekels, 1,600 shekels, something like that.
Okay, there's one more thing that you said before that I want to pick a little bit at, which is that, just let me a chance to finish this off, which is that you said that the land of Israel should be approached as a thing that we love, that we're excited, that we're passionate about, that there's a burning desire for us, and we should be running to it and not running away from anti-Semitism. And of course, that's an ideal and that's beautiful, but the history of the land of Israel is such that anti-Semitism is a big part of why people got here. But I have a different read on it. My read is that God loves us so much that he's willing to send these things to push us out of our comfort zones, of the place that we've set up. And it's a love, meaning to say, I see today American anti-Semitism as this incredible love, because God could have just sent the kind of anti-Semites that just kill you, or he could have sent assimilation, which is another way of getting rid of you. Instead, God is like, he's waking us up, he's pushing us out. And there's something like, I see it and I'm just like, Mamdani is a manifestation of God's tremendous love for his children, that he's willing to take all these steps to bring us home. So like when you see Mamdani, I see his face and I see this like evil vizier Haman type character, I'm like, wow, there's a love. And let's not forget that Haman is at the end the vehicle for the most incredible love, for the return of the Jewish people to Torah, to the land. And as the sages say, that the giving of the power over to Haman by giving him the ring had more effective power than 48 prophets, Jewish prophets, smashing your head and telling you to wake up. When God gave the ring, and when Achashverosh...
The seal of Haman.
Right, that's right. Okay.
Well, I just want to say one thing about that. Just let me address that one point. You can either take Yishai's word for this on a conceptual level, but also to understand that the Nevi'im exactly address this, so there's no more confusion about it. Now, the prophets have said that, and I understand that there's one of the worst things that's happened throughout the exile is the hijacking of the prophets of Israel, where, even me, I remember growing up, someone said Isaiah 15, I'm like, oh, Ned Flanders. You remember Ned Flanders? He's like, sure. Hey, howdy, Homer, Isaiah, Ezekiel, Jeremiah, the prophet. It's like hokey and silly. And so sometimes I'm talking to American Joe, I'm like, Isaiah said, and they're like, oh, Isaiah, those Christians are really getting to you. The Christians are... How did that happen? You got to let that go and understand that the prophets of Israel have taught the entire world light from darkness, but that's not the point. The point I'm saying is the Yirmiyahu Hanavi, Jeremiah the prophet, in chapter 16, verse 16, he speaks exactly about our times. And he said, first, Hashem says, I'm going to send the fishers. What are fishers? Yishai Fleischer was a fisher. He's throwing it in there and saying, Aliyah revolution, life is beautiful, come to Israel, giving us the true bait to bring us home. And for those that don't listen to the fishers, then I will bring the hunters, and they will hunt you down from behind the rocks, right? And you look at what's happening now, and the hunters are out. And so this is the time to understand that this is a gift for us to bring us back to the land. And we're right now driving by Shiloh, where Hannah prayed for a son and got Samuel the prophet, who told Saul. But it's not only about the past and about the prophets. Just like Yishai said, it's about the future. You feel the future being born here, and you see America, and it's like on a rapid decline. And that's why it's just out of a place of love for every Jew. I love every Jew. My diaspora, nothing keeps me up more at night than what I feel like is a certain blindness of my diaspora Jewish brethren. And as someone that has my own blindness too, I have blindness. I have things that confuse me that I don't see. I'm not standing here and saying, I am the man of truth. Believe me, I have my things that I'm dealing with. I'm just saying that keep your eyes open. That's all I'm saying. Just keep your eyes open and come back home.
Okay. I've recently come up with a new metaphor. And that metaphor, I think, is maybe a metaphor like the metaphor of the fishers and the hunters is very intense. And I don't know if America is going to become this like intense, place of a Holocaust. I'm not sure about that, but definitely there is not the same love. That's for sure. And as you mentioned to me, and as I found subsequently is really sourced by the Chafetz Chaim. The Chafetz Chaim said, and you mentioned it, that Jacob realizes it's time to go when Lavan's face changes. So too, when America's face changes towards the Jews, which it's changing. So you recognize that it's the time to go. But my personal metaphor is different. It's a new metaphor I came up with recently, which is your child. In this metaphor, your child goes to somebody's house and you want him to come back home. So you say, Moshe, you got to come home today at 6 p.m. And he goes, sure, Mom, no problem. Then you go, you know what? Let me put this watch on you and set the alarm. The alarm is set for 5:50. Remember, when the alarm goes off, you go home. And the alarm goes off, but Moshe's playing the Nintendo, and he presses a button and he lets it be forgotten. And then you also took care to give him a phone, like some simple, not smartphone, because he's a kid. You gave him a Nokia phone, and you call him at 5 to 6. And you say, Moshe, it's time for you to come home. And he says, sure, Mom. And he puts the phone down, but he's in the middle of a game, Super Mario on Nintendo, and he forgets again. And finally, you're frustrated. He's not coming home. And what you do is you call the parents. You call the parents of Moshe, and you say to the parents, I want you to kick my son out because it's time for him to come home. And the father of the house says, Moshe, it's time for you to go. And the minute the father says that, then Moshe puts down the controller and he's heading out the door. And so too, God has made amazing miracles that call people back home to the homeland. And when we don't heed that, well, suddenly he calls the parents of the other place, i.e. the nations where we're staying, and they now are going to push us out of the house effectively, and that's what's happening. But one thing that I think you and I agree on, Ari, is that you got to take also practical steps. You talked before about renting, selling your house, and buying in the land of Israel,
and then renting there, staying there,
even staying there, but renting, but at least being more fluid financially. Setting up that bank account in Israel, sending your kids here earlier. One of the big changes that I've said, I've said that the difference between the United States and, let's say, South Africa is when a South African Jewish kid comes to his parents in South Africa and he says, listen, I want to go to Israel for the year, I want to go to Israel for college, I want to go to Israel for the army. The parents in South Africa say, please, go ahead. Yes, we're behind you, we're with you. There's no future here in South Africa. Okay? Maybe it's hard for us to leave, but you go. And we're right behind you. Good, make your life. If anybody remembers the end of the movie Woman in Gold, where the Austrian parents say to her, just remember us, but go make a life for yourself. I tear up at that part of the movie. But now Oh, but when a kid in America 20 years ago said to his parents, I want to go to the Israeli army, I want to go to yeshiva in Israel, whatever, they said, what, are you crazy? You got a family here, you got our businesses here, you can go to Columbia, you could go to Cornell, and we got that whole thing set up for you, and we even dedicated a room in Cornell, and we have a thing, and we're totally part of this thing, and we have the apartment on Fifth Avenue, whatever it is. Okay. Now, when a young person comes to their parents and she says, I want to go to college in Tel Aviv, then parents today are much more likely, American parents are likely to say, please, my beloved daughter, go ahead, start your life, go ahead. There is a future in Eretz Israel. And that's a big difference. And that's what I call Shiluach HaKen, when you send away the parents, the previous generation's way of thinking, and you bring into the land of Israel the chicks and the eggs. The next generation is coming here. I was just speaking to an important donor guy, and he said to me, we got to talk about Aliyah in America. I said to him, if you want to talk Aliyah, the way to do it is on campus. Campus, it's with the young people. Get the young people
They're
here.
at the fork in the road right there.
At the fork in the road, or the people that are willing to now diversify their wealth and move it to Israel and protect themselves.
I know a lot of people that have actually done that thing and bought a place in Israel, and not one of them has any shred of regret.
Right.
Because it's not just ideologically and spiritually wise, it's financially wise. But I just want to make one last point, Yishai, because I left my whole idea of it saying, keep your eyes open, don't trust me. I'm a chicken farmer in Judea, and I'm not even good at that. What do I know? Just keep your eyes open. But then you said like a Holocaust in America. I want to make it clear, I do not think a Holocaust is going to happen in America. I do not. America is a different country than pre-Holocaust Germany. It's totally different. I don't think that history repeats itself, but it rhymes. Okay, things are going to get bad and worse and worse and worse, and it's going to look very, very different, and it's maybe on a different scale, but that doesn't change the fact that, so don't try to, when I say keep your eyes open, don't try to look for a replica of the past and say, well, that's not happening. It's not about that. It's not about whether a Holocaust is going to happen. It's when you see things getting so unbelievably, irrationally crazy against Jews from all sides, and it gets so much that all of a sudden you can't have a mezuzah up, you don't feel comfortable with the kippah. It's time to say, okay, the winds of history are shifting yet again, and maybe instead of thinking, where am I going to go, where am I going to hide, will he hide me in his home? You don't need to think he's going to hide me in his home. Come to my home. Come to Eretz Yisrael, come to the hills of Judea, and it will be the best thing you ever did. And your children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren and great-great-grandchildren will look at their family tree and say, that's where we went from 2,000 years of the exile to the land of Israel. That is a legacy that will last forever. You know, Greg here in the back, his daughter and his son-in-law, he had a job in America, he was doing super well, and they picked up and they left, and it hasn't been easy. But I think it's been very rewarding, and their great-great-grandchildren will say that exactly about them. So that's my message.
It's a great message, and I guess I would add only to that one more message, which is that a Jew knows how to stay fluid. And I had a big guy tell me one time, he's like, if America goes down, Israel goes down. So I said to him, Bob, listen to me. The Jewish people transitioned from the Persian Empire to the Greek Empire, from the Babylonian Empire to the Persian Empire to the Greek Empire to the Roman Empire in a span of a few hundred years. And then we even transitioned into exile. And we were able to deal with it. And here in Israel, by the way, we have transitioned. This modern state of Israel has basically transitioned from Turkish to British to partial Arab-controlled Jordanian, to Israeli, but under Soviet sphere of influence, to a French sphere of influence, to an American sphere of influence. We've transitioned through all of those times, and we're still here, baby. And so a Jewish person's got to be fluid. When you sense the fluidity underneath your legs, when you sense that the continent is no longer safe for you, okay. And feel that as a love. That's what my chiddush for today. My innovation is feel the love of Tucker Carlson. Feel the love of Candace Owens. It means that God loves us so much that he's willing to send this nutty Candace Owens to muddy the minds and the water of the United States all in order to bring the Jewish people back home. How much ahava, how much love is there that God has in his heart for his dream, for his Abraham, for his covenant to come true. And that's the time that we're living in. All right, folks, I want to thank Ari Abramowitz for driving and talking with me today. You can see so much more of Ari and Jeremy right now, the Land of Israel Network, landofisrael.com. And included in that right now is the awesome Prophets of Israel series, where Ari and Jeremy are going through the whole of the Jewish Bible and teaching it to the world. And it's been one of the most incredible and so simple and so beautiful projects that they've ever gone to. And a lot of people are being touched by that. So kol kavod, and I want everybody to join folks, Ari and Jeremy and the team, including Greg and others, at thelandofisrael.com. As for myself, I want you to keep building Israel together with me as we're driving in this good land. We're building it together. So join me at buildisrael.com, where we're building Israel together. Me, you, and the God above. It's actually happening, and together we're building Israel. That's why we created that website, so that you can remember it so easily. Build Israel. That's what we're about. I'm about build Israel. Say it. I'm a builder of Israel. Let's build Israel. God is building Israel. So it's buildisrael.com. Or buymeacoffee.com/Yishai. Just buy us a coffee. I could use a coffee right now. God bless you folks wherever you are. Stay tuned, stay strong, stay connected, and keep driving this good road. We didn't even talk about the fact that this whole time we've been on Route 60, the biblical highway, as it's now officially named, this good land. Ari Abramowitz.
Yeah, I was just going to say, this may be an even more compelling podcast if you watch it on mute and don't let my words distract you from just looking at the olive trees growing on the ancient mountains of Israel. There's a mystical power, a magic, a sanctity, a holiness, a light that just exudes just from looking at, just look at the mountains, and you're going to want to come home.
I agree with that so much, and sometimes I don't say things like that because it's something that's hard to believe unless you see it and feel it for yourself. But we're right now in the mountains of Samaria, and I agree with you. I agree with you fully, Ari. I feel that feeling that you just said. I feel that feeling all the time. It would be nicer if your car had clean windows so I could see it, but as it is, it's the dirt of Judea, and we really appreciate that dirt.
For your servants cherished her stones.
That's right.
And love her dust.
That's right.
And that's the thing. I'll end this one line. I could try to explain to you in words the beauty of the land of Israel. You could even see little traces of it maybe on pictures or video. But it's ultimately, it's like me showing you a sheet of musical notes versus going to a Philharmonic orchestra. You really need to come here, put your roots in, and say, I am here, and the land opens itself up to you. And that's what I bless all of you around the world to merit to do that in your lifetimes and to experience the beauty and the light. And when you do, you'll understand why all of this darkness in the world, just like Yishai said, is a great blessing. And that's how you redeem that darkness to bring the light, by actually accepting that mission that the darkness is sending you on.
And if you have an aha moment throughout this podcast, go with it. Don't bury that aha moment. Have that, what I call Aliyah revelation. Right?
That's good.
Yeah, it's called the Aliyah revelation. When you have that moment, you're like, yes, I can, I want to, I will. Follow it all the way.
That's why you're my Rebbe.
Yeah. The sages, by the way, say that Amalek, the Amalekites, that name comes from or is related to the act of Melikah, which is when the Kohen Gadol would take his large nail on the thumb and would cut the neck of a bird, and that's the way that he would slaughter the bird. And so they explain that Melikah is the detachment between head and heart. When you have a revelation, a revelatory moment, and you're able to bring it down from here into your heart, when you're like, you have that aha moment, you're like, yes, they're right. This has been an amazing podcast. And then you're like, you let something get between that and you kind of forget about it, and you're just making an intellectual decision, but not a fully heart decision. As they say in Chabad, achlata, a deep decision. If you block it, if you don't allow it to trickle down into the heart, that's a big mistake. That's Amalekite-like.
Maimonides says the greatest distance in the whole world is the distance between your head and your heart. That you can know something, but the Torah says the primary directive, to me the one most important pasuk in the Torah, V'yadata hayom v'hashavota el vavecha ki Hashem Elohim ein od. You shall know today in your head. You can know something, but you shall infuse it into your heart. Make it part of yourself, that there's nothing other than Hashem in the world. And when you do that, then you won't be afraid of Aliyah. You won't be afraid of change. You won't be afraid of what's happening in the world. You will be excited. Your fear will transform to desire. That's what I bless all of your holy listeners with, because they wouldn't be watching this and listening to it if they didn't have the spark of that truth in their heart. They would be like, I'm just gonna go to a TikTok and watch Friends reruns. They're here for a reason.
All right, folks, God bless you. You are watching Friends. Ari Abramovitz and Yishai Fleischer and our team here in the back. And we're coming close to Har Bracha here in Samaria to join the Israel guys for another podcast. God bless you, folks, wherever you are. Stay tuned, stay strong, stay connected. Let the love trickle down into your heart. God bless you wherever you are, and shalom. Mamdani is a manifestation of God's tremendous love for his children, that he's willing to take all these steps to bring us home. And Ari and I have sometimes a slight disagreement about how to approach American Jews.
Used to be slight, now it's more significant. I used to wonder, Jews of pre-Holocaust Germany, did they not see the writing on the wall? Why didn't they leave? And I now have my answer. American Jews today. And I know that that's something nobody wants to hear, and they're upset hearing it, and they get mad at me. But what else am I supposed to do?